What is going on, Colony fam? Don't mind. It's a little dark, but then there's a glare if I run that light. So we're making do with this quarantine Bible study, literally quarantine Bible study, because I'm supposed to be quarantined. So, just a few more days of that though. So we didn't have youth tonight, but I still wanted to put out a video for you guys to enjoy. So I'm gonna steal my light for a second because my verse, oh, pardon me, is on my phone. Um, Turn that off for a second. It's actually the verse of the day, but don't read into that, all right? It's the verse of the day on you version for me. I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So here's the deal. The reason why I said don't read into that, as in I just read that verse and that's automatically, oh, he must just be making it up on the spot. That's not the case. There was a message churning and stirring in me that I think is very important for this day and age because everybody's offended, right? Everybody gets offended. Everybody, and when you offend somebody, they often like attack or get defensive and then they kind of that culture of we're gonna attack those who um, offend us and make us feel less than, or whatever it may be. All this to say that there's an attitude from people that I am the way that I am, and you need to deal with it. You need to be okay with it, and I don't care who I offend. Well, this verse tells us that if we are persecuted for righteousness' sake, that's okay. That we should count ourselves blessed. That is what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to go around offending people for no reason. It's telling us if we're persecuted for our righteousness, if somebody comes after me for the righteousness we have, for being a Christian, for living an upright lifestyle, if we offend people and they attack us, if we do that, let it be for our righteousness' sake. Let it not be because of, you know, oh, my political opinion or my opinion on a sports team or a movie or this or that. Like, sure, we can have little disagreements here and there and blah, 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 and stuff goes on. But understand, part of being a righteous person is slow to speak, right? This is one of the things that I want to touch on in righteousness and how we can maybe save ourselves a little bit of persecution in the unrighteous facet. There's something in Proverbs that says, where words are many, sin is not far away. This applies to a lot of things, like I just said, slow to speak, right? The slower we are to speak, the more we listen, the more we can sit back, and the less likely we are to say something that may be offensive or causing persecution to us that is not righteous. See, that verse says persecuted for our righteousness. That's different than just being persecuted for no reason or being attacked or offending somebody or so on. It's important that we keep note of that our words and what we say, where words are many, because we can also gossip or say something bad about somebody, and then it brings on persecution to us. But that wasn't in righteousness. That wasn't in glory to God. But if we are living an upright lifestyle, let that bring glory to God. So one of the facets in which we can see this happen is in the way that we control our tongues, putting a leash on our tongues and knowing that we should not say certain things, not I mean, it even goes all the way back to taking captive our thoughts, because before we say something, a lot of times it starts here, although some of us, we speak before we think. I had that problem a lot growing up. I still have that problem sometimes today. So this lesson is very much for me even, but it's something that we all need to learn is that, if we're persecuted for our righteousness, it's a blessing. But if we're just persecuted because we're offending people and doing things that are wrong and saying things and running our mouth and this and that, that's not a blessing. And just because we're a Christian and we get persecuted doesn't mean I'm being persecuted because of my righteousness. Sometimes it's persecuted because guess what? You sinned and you're bringing on something that is a symptom of sin existing in the world and in our lives. So remember that. Remember that. Be slow to speak. Where words are many, sin is not far away. And if you're being persecuted, let it be because of righteousness. And if it is, be blessed. That's where it boils down to, all right, guys? That just because we're a Christian, I want that to be a real underlining factor here. If you take notes on these things and you write stuff down, underline some of these points. One of the points being that just because you're a Christian and then you get persecuted doesn't mean you're being persecuted because your faith. Sometimes we're being persecuted because, well, we sinned and we're maybe not acting the way we should. But then there's times where we get persecuted because of our righteousness. But don't let our head hang low. Instead, let us count ourselves blessed for that exact purpose. Glory to God, and so on. Make sense, guys? Awesome. I love you guys. God bless you. Wash your hands. Stay healthy. And we'll see you next Wednesday.